Welcome to the Journey 2020. I'm Charles Morris. Happy to bring you to Journey 2020, where we come to you every Monday at 7 p.m. We've been doing so since 2013. It's been a while. And so, right off the bat, I'm going to get right to it. We got the annual What's My Anti-Drug Use Summit coming your way August 16th, which is this coming Monday. And so I've been trying to put out as much information as I can. I've been trying to tell people they need to show up. Um, w- we got so much going on that coming Saturday, this coming Saturday. I know it's back to school and all of that and stuff like that, but just the annual What's My Anti-Drug Youth Summit, which is sponsored through my nonprofit, which is called Youth Central Connection. I think this is the 23rd year that we've been doing the summit. It is called Preventing Violence, Policing the Community. And what is more important than that? So right off the bat, I like to hang out with the ballers. I like to hang out with the big time people.
Yeah, I'm with Dr. Nelson. Show us where the ball is at, man. Hey, but we appreciate hanging out with you, Charles. Man, you've done a great job, man, in this Orlando, Central Florida community with the Youth Central Connection, man. And, we're just excited, man. And I know I already told you, I'm not going to do an imitation of Dr. Nelson to coming this Saturday, but Dr. Nelson is in town walking me through the law enforcement use of force simulator, man, so that
Mhm.
we can unfold this to the community. And Charles, you're doing a great job, man, with keeping people aware of what's taking place.
Well, we was having a conversation, and you were talking about something that should be done uh, probably monthly, and that's something that we should work on.
Well, you're absolutely correct. And Dr. Nelson, I mean, I know you and we've talked about this. We went back to task force reports from 2016, 2021, and 2023, and it's not any mystery to what needs to be done. You can look at it in all of these reports.
Yeah, right. No, I think engagement, community engagement, is a constant. It's consistent. It isn't something you do when things are going bad or you have a crisis situation. It's something you continually do. So what I refer to it as putting chips in the bank when you don't need them, because it's not a matter of if you're going to need them; it's a matter of when. And I think having that relationship, I think will go a long way to not only resolving some of those issues, but also getting the community to see their roles and responsibilities in ensuring a safe community.
Hey, Charles,
Hmm.
now he just talked about putting chips in the bank, and we have so many banks around the country. You got Bank of America, you got Regions Bank, you got all these banks. Can you tell people what bank they need to put those chips in?
The Bank of Trust.
The Bank of Community Trust.
That's it. That's it. Hey, because the worst thing you can do, whether you're in Central Florida, North Florida, or anywhere in America, is to have a crisis situation and your trust is insufficient fund.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go there. So that's when you see communities burn down, and that benefit the community. It hurts the community. But when there's a lack of trust, hopelessness, anything can happen.
Well, one of the things over the years, Rob, this is my probably maybe about my fifth or sixth time that I have done this in my summit versus what to do in case you're stopped by law enforcement. And what I try to emphasize, and one of the things that I've said is that stop is not a place for you to get justice at that point in time because everything is in their favor. Everything is stacked up for them to do what they're going to do based on that person, their personality, and no matter how wrong they are and how you feel has nothing to do with the good outcome for you. And people, for some odd reason, have a hard time to understand when to fight the battle, how to understand what that means because of the situation at the time. Can you just kind of briefly speak on that?
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And in Jacksonville, that was all over the national media. For me, and this is me, I think that officer didn't have a justifiable reason to stop the young man. I firmly believe that. And then when you look at the data on the types of stops and when they made stops and all that, who they've stopped in terms of, stopping someone from not having the headlight. I think that you put that to the side. I think it was not justifiable. But when you look at this, the thing, I was thinking about my son. What I tell my son is, you're stopped by the police, do everything that they asked you to do. Even if you think that, they shouldn't have stopped you, all of those things, go through it. And just think in your mind, my daddy's going to handle this. And what my daddy don't handle, being Crumper handle. But that's what you have. That's a daddy issue. You bump that up to daddy and make it home to daddy and say, Daddy, this is what happened. But trying to litigate, I know my rights. And the young man slammed the door and then he locked the door and he had tinted windows. That's the worst thing you could do.
Law enforcement, they don't know what's on the other side of that door.
Yeah. No, I think that's where we got to get to. I'm actually doing a session with the NAACP. They're having their state convention here in Orlando on September 6th. And we're going to bring out the simulator because I think the simulator does two things. It shows young folk how difficult it is to make those decisions in law enforcement. You shut the door, you have tinted windows, you don't know what's on the side. But it also shows them how the officers should respond to them. So I think it's twofold. I think that law enforcement could be wrong on those stops, but you take that wrong to daddy. You just put ching ching in your head. He's wrong. He's violating. I'm taking this to daddy. And that's the way we handle, as opposed to doing the things that allows things to escalate even further.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Hey, Charles, one of the things that you and I had a conversation, and Dr. Nelson and I, we've been having this conversation for years. Look, law enforcement, public works, whatever organized organization, whether it's in the public sector side or the private sector side, on a year-round basis, they're engaging their workforce with trainings, updates, policy initiatives. The only area that's not getting what I would call public safety updates on a regular basis is communities. We go when a crisis has happened to start talking about these things, but if there's a regular and ongoing update, especially for young people, saying, how do you respond to a stop? A lot of times, come on, let's admit it, that's a stressful situation. And a lot of these young people, and I call some of them old fools like myself, that you may not really fully know and understand how to respond. But the simple response is follow those instructions. And as Dr. Nelson just mentioned, if you feel that you're being mistreated, there's another process that you can go through. But like Reverend Pastor Richard King says, hey, look, surviving the stop is all that matters when you're on the side of the road.
Right. Because they're afraid. In some cases, the law enforcement are afraid too. Mm-hmm. So they come into situations because if you look at everything in terms of the total picture, and I'm talking we specifically, Black community, call police more than any other, at a higher rate than any other group. We call it. And there's trauma in that you call folk that you feel for mistrustful of, but you're calling them. So you got that trauma as well. And then the fact that sometimes they get there and they traumatize you even more. Or reverse, you have some officers that are excellent with dealing and engaging the community. Then you have others that are not. We have to be prepared to deal with either.
Well, one of the things, again, back to what we're talking about, and I've said this, there's this thing that I watch, and I don't know if you're familiar with it, but auditors that audit the law enforcement, around the country. And they go and they see how they handle stuff, blah, 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 the abiding by the Constitution, so on and so forth. There's a whole bunch of them. But what I've learned, and then what you find out, is that law enforcement gets sued all the time. It's like a regular thing. They get sued. And so our minds, we don't understand that stop at that moment, because when the wrong is being done and then somebody's dead, they talk about a paycheck. Well, that's not doing you any good, because now you dead. And then the thing of it is that when you see it, it's like, well, this happens all the time. Whether or not you want to say, well, they don't have to pay for it, it's almost like they got money aside for what they do and how they do it, and it's not going to change. And so when they don't understand is that yeah, somebody going to get paid, but somebody is going to die. So you got to understand what that means, and it happens, it happens, it happens, it happens, and then we act like when it happens, certain things are going to change. And I just don't believe that's so. I just think things are aligned for us to educate ourselves on how to survive the stop.
That's absolutely right. And I think most time it's the incident where everything escalates. So for us, surviving the stops mean do what they ask you to do. Whatever commands they give you on the street, you do them. And then you don't have to die. You don't have to get. You go back. They violate your civil rights. That's what civil rights attorneys are for. That's what they been. So no one died, but at the same time, they have to pay for their wrongdoing. Whether through suspension, whether through a lawsuit, we have to get to the point where we're not dying. Now, when you look at it, there are more white people killed by police than black. But understanding proportionality to that, there are a lot fewer black folk. So we, black males, are 3-4 times more likely to be killed by the police unarmed. But there are more white folk that are killed by the police. Both of those things are true. We want to get to the point where we do what we're supposed to do, and then we live to be able to say that person violated my civil rights, and therefore being compensated, this is the amount of money that's going to cost. But that person is still alive.
Charles, so you see why my good friend is among the national experts around the country when it comes to community and law enforcement engagement. But something else that I've learned through this journey as well, Charles, leadership matters in law enforcement. Seminole County Sheriff Dennis Lima, man, somebody who's on the cusp, the cutting edge when you talk about community engagement. I'm going to throw Orange County Sheriff Mina in that. Leadership makes the difference in your agency, but let's not discount this. You know, communities have to also be accountable for what's taking place in communities as well. When we see young or old pulled over and their response to a legal stop, when we see things get out of hand, we got to call it the same way we would call if it's a bad officer doing something inappropriate. We got to do that.
Yeah, and what I see on both sides of that coin is defending the indefensible. Sometimes you'll see law enforcement trying to defend what everybody sees is wrong. I mean, it's bad. It's bad today, it's bad tomorrow. And on the flip side of that, you'll see in our community young men dying on the street. No one saw anything. I'm not getting involved with that. But if it's an officer that killed, then we're going to march, protest.
Yeah.
Wrong has to be wrong on both sides of that equation.
No matter what.
Now, what I do believe is that law enforcement have to be held to a higher standard. We can't give you the authority to take life or liberty and you violating our civil rights. You damn right. We need to go after them, march, protest, suit with everything. But on the flip side of that, a few years ago, I was here doing a training with law enforcement, and a 2-year-old was shot in the drive-by shooting. And to this day, I don't know if they found the perpetrator. So it's disingenuous that a black life only matter if a police officer take it, but if it's being taken by folk that look at us in community and we don't want to get involved, that's not. But the flip side of that as well is if it's my child, I'm gonna go and tell you everybody was there, everybody I thought was there. But if it's somebody else's child, I'm not getting involved. My comment to that to our community is tomorrow it may be your child.
Maybe your child. You're right. Charles, so do you see the importance of why something like this, when we talk about community engagement, it need not happen once or twice a year? There's updates. I mean, we need to bring in juvenile justice, DCF. We need to have law enforcement there as our partners when we're engaging the community to see, number one, what's taking place in that community. Number two, providing updates. And number three, one of the best updates that I think needs to be placed out there right now is Florida's super speed new law, which has captured a number of folk in it, but people didn't realize that now if you're caught driving over 100 miles an hour, it used to be you get a speeding ticket and be on your way. Now you can actually go to jail. And so I think regular ongoing updates, but especially when we talk about law enforcement and community engagement, there's no better expert to have those kind of conversations than the one sitting to my left, Dr. Nelson. He's done this all over the country.
Well, you guys are going to be doing it, Charles. This is the work that you guys can do. It's my hope. The simulator that I have was donated to me by Laser Shot, and they just want the community and law enforcement to see the lens through each other's views. That's what they want. I think every law enforcement agency in the country need to be able to do something like this with the community, and they may need to get folk like you guys to do it. Because sometimes when law enforcement does it, they're trying to show their perspective. That's why when I do the simulator, it's looking at all perspectives. It's easier for you to try to show it through your lens to prove or to justify. We don't need that. That's why I think this is going to be a beautiful thing on Saturday, is that it's unfiltered. We get to go and have a conversation, let these folk go through the simulator. And of course, they're going to shoot more people than the law allows, innocent people in the simulator. They're not trained. And absolutely, but the beautiful thing about Saturday is they can take these bullets back. And law enforcement realize you can't take the bullets back. That's why it's incumbent upon us to make sure that our young people that live in our community that want to go in law enforcement, we encourage them, we support them. We don't do what a lot of folk do. Oh, you part of the police, you against us. No, either you get what you deserve or you get what someone else gives you.
And Charles, I don't know, to kind of wind this up, man, I believe at the end of the day, man, this has value on both sides. Law enforcement gets to sit down and understand the community that they're serving, but the community also gets to realize that law enforcement is somebody's husband, somebody's father, somebody's mother, and to put yourself in the place of law enforcement to understand what they deal with on a day-to-day basis. So, Charles, we're just excited about what you and your organization is doing. August the 16th at New Covenant Baptist Church, I believe Chief Stanley and I are going on at approximately 11 o'clock. And I would highly encourage parents to bring your children. I would encourage parents, please show up, because this is something that you get to live, not something that somebody's going to come back and tell you, but show up. This is an opportunity for the community to come out in partnership with your organization, but also law enforcement will be there participating as well.
Yeah, I think this is, if you saw the incident in Jacksonville and other places, sometimes just knowing what to do is the difference between life and death. So this is education on both sides of that equation. And like I said, I just applaud you and the others that thought that this was something that's needed and necessary, because it is. And we need to do this around the country. So started in Eville and Central Florida and move it on out. But this simulator, and shouts out to Laser Shot, because they're the ones that provided this for us to be able to use.
All right. Well, looking forward to seeing you this coming Saturday, Rob. And thank you so much for allowing us to use the simulator. And hopefully we can come back and do it again and again and again and again.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Hey, a partnership has already been birthed. So, Charles, man, keep up the great work that you're doing, man.
Absolutely.
All right. We want to invite you to come out to the Youth Central annual What's My Anti-Drug Youth Summit taking place this coming Saturday, August 16th at New Covenant Baptist Church starting at 9 a.m. We want to see you there, preventing violence, policing the community. It's a great event, and it's even better if you come out and participate, get involved, give us some feedback, talk, communicate, figure out how we can figure this thing out to make it better for all of us. For all of us. It's so important. And, I want to thank Rob Love and also Dr. Randy Nelson for what he's doing, letting us use the simulator. Shoot, don't shoot. You come out and take part. You're going to shoot an innocent victim? No, I don't. But anyway, we want you to come out and take part. And like say, probably we can make this like a monthly event where we, engage, have conversation. One of my mentors, who is a former police officer, tells me, and he's been telling me all the time, and he said, police officers, they definitely should have the resources to not sit, but walk the neighborhood and make conversations with the people. That's very, very important. You have to try to engage. And he said that's so, so important in law enforcement. Again, we want you to come out for the annual What's My Anti-Drug Youth Summit taking place August 16th at New Covenant Baptist Church. That's 2210 South Rio Grande, 32805 here in the Orlando area. You can register at Eventbrite. At Eventbrite, and all you have to do is put in Youth Summit or put in Youth Central Connection. You can register with that. And I'm Charles Morris, and with that being said, hope to see you this coming Saturday. Everybody, enjoy the rest of the week. You be blessed.